Hi there, I'm Jameson Rod, CEO of Nearly Human AI, and today I wanted to talk briefly about a recent study that came out that resonated with me for all kinds of reasons. Earlier this summer, I was actually at the MIT Media Lab with the American Society for AI, which was an amazing experience to see all the incredibly sharp people that are working there and the projects that they're on. But this week, they released a study where they cited statistics from their study that 95% of AI pilots are failing in the enterprise. And by failing, they mean either not going to production or failing to create any demonstrable business value. And this is really interesting. I'm actually seeing this out in industry as we're working with industry partners to field AI solutions in the enterprise. And so as I read the study, I can understand where they're coming from, why the numbers say what they do. And so I wanted to just take a moment, because if you are finding yourself in one of these 95% scenarios where the AI pilot that maybe your organization or you personally are working on is just not giving you the ROI that you're looking for, there's probably a couple of specific reasons why this is happening. And so I just wanted to talk about it in the hopes that this will help you to create the value that is 100% possible. That 5% that is creating value with their AI pilots and initiatives are creating huge value. And we are seeing that actually happen. I know it's rare. I've talked to lots of folks that are in that 95% where they're struggling, but it is truly possible. So the first thing to think about, a few weeks back, I wrote an article saying that ChatGPT is like the new Excel. And I still think that that's a really good analogy and kind of sits at the root of this value problem. We're still working in a bottom-up scenario with a lot of shadow IT and maybe a few ad hoc tools that are being fielded within the enterprise. The seat licensing on those things in the enterprise is typically pretty expensive if you go across the board. And a lot of times there's a fairly drastic number of your staff members that aren't using it consistently. And so it's a drag. But this is a bottom-up approach. And the Excel analogy shows how this can provide real value on an individual basis, but it doesn't do anything to scale a tool or a process across your organization. And so standardizing that kind of use across an enterprise, maintaining it over time as things change, it's a real problem. And so it's also a little hard to quantify because each individual gets different mileage out of the tools that they're using. So when you think about your AI pilots, there's two big pitfalls when you want to take that from an individualized tool to an enterprise-wide implementation. The first thing is these internal projects. Sometimes they stretch out, they take a while, they're kind of a side project, they're super interesting for a lot of your technologists, but they don't go the full mile in terms of getting the quality where it needs to be for your employee base to actually take advantage of, and secondly, getting it into your workflow in a way that's meaningful. So adoption matters so much in this sense. It's the key to getting the value out. If only a handful of your staff is using the tools that you implement, you're just not going to see the value out of it. And there's two aspects to getting them to use it. We recently fielded a system where week one, we got 70% adoption. I've literally never seen those kind of numbers before with any piece of software that I've rolled out at any point in my career, which is amazing. And what's even more amazing is that those numbers just went up. It wasn't like a launch day kind of spike. These were consistent and growing over time. The reason that happened is twofold. One, we did the work to make sure that the quality was there. We got the data right. We got the implementation right. The linguistics made things easy for people to use. So the initial experience was awesome. It's so important. Secondly, we put the AI in the actual workflow, not some sidechain tool that you email a link to and say, hey, use this for something that's actually going to like change people's process. No, we took the enterprise process and we put the AI right in the middle of it. And so people were forced to interact with the AI as a method to getting the enterprise process started. Now, typically, you can see backlash when you roll software like that, where you force people into it. And you can see pushback. You can see productivity problems as people adapt to like a new experience. But the beauty of a really great language system using generative AI, when it's done right, is that the experience is better for everyone involved. So the person who is working with the AI to start the process sees the automation happen in a way that's very familiar. It works the same way that the interaction might have worked human to human in the past. So the friction is less because there's no waiting on folks. There's consistent answers, consistent process, and it feels very, very fluid. It actually solves their problems faster than it did before. And so there's a real draw to come back to it. On the other end, from a process perspective, the people who pick up the next phase of the process get information that's in better condition, systems that are filled out for them so they don't have to do it. There's consistency in how that's done. So a reduction in like human error in the process. And so when this is done right, and you have a really high quality system and you embed it right into your workflow, the magic starts to happen. And once you do that, these systems are good enough at it as long as you have the proper tooling around it. This is going to come to like the third part of this equation that matters. These things can happen quickly and efficiently from a cost perspective, which means the ROI from a business perspective is 3, 4, 5, 600% within a month or a quarter. And so this is where AI matters within an organization. Now, if you are implementing things internally and you don't have tried and true tooling around your system or tried and true expertise. And to be fair, there's not a ton of enterprise level expertise that has deployed successful systems. I've talked to so many people, and the mileage has varied so much. We're starting to see teams that can do this effectively, but they really are 5% of the time, right? These numbers, I feel, from a gut check perspective, are accurate. 95% of the time, you get something out that tests well, but doesn't actually operate well in the wild when you field this to your organization and try to extract that value from your AI system. So my suggestion going forward, if you're one of the 95%, is first off, find a partner, whether that's Nearly Human or someone else who has experience fielding successful systems, and at least get them in from an advisement perspective. They're going to understand the tooling and the techniques that do, and more importantly, don't work, because there's a lot of stuff out there that advertises well but doesn't actually work, and you've got to be able to sort those things out, because if you choose the wrong tool, you're going to be on a bridge to nowhere, and you don't want that. And secondly, be really careful about how much of the infrastructure you roll on your own. There's two problems there. One, it's just going to take forever, and so anywhere that you can like plug in tooling or products that are actually going to help you expedite that, you want to do that. Secondly, you are going to want a partner or a product provider who can help you with the maintenance of that system, because these things do not self-maintain. And as your business processes or your data changes over time, they have to be updated. And updating these things can be painful if you don't know what you're doing. You can improve performance in one area while simultaneously degrading it in another area. And if you're not careful, like the net benefit of that update is going to be more trouble than it's worth. You're even seeing hyperscalers like OpenAI struggle with this from time to time. So it's a real thing to consider. Last is when you look at your cost, make sure that you're looking at the maintenance cost and the sunk cost of your technology team when you're working these in-house projects. I see a lot of this like sunk cost bias happen with internal projects that kind of like keep going on the basis that bringing in expertise or tools is too expensive. And you really have to look at this holistically before you actually like make that decision. The real question is, what are we putting into this? And are we getting the desired ROI out of it? If not, you need to go back and figure out which one of those projects internally is not working the way you want it to. If you need help, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn or at nearlyhuman.ai, and I'd be happy to help you with any of the use cases that you're struggling with. Community banks, we have an awesome product out there that we can snap in for you in a week. If you want to create an amazing resurgence of your customer experience and employee experience, it's a really low cost, low risk way to start. And we're going to be bringing on some new products in new verticals starting next month. So reach out to me. I'll keep you guys posted with all the new product. And until then, have a great weekend.